Hey, there's no music. What's going on?
Disclaimer!
It is disclaimer time. Today's movie is the spoiler alert fantastic Space is a Place, but there's a little issue that we recorded this on May 24th.
This is a film by a black musician about race, and we don't bring up any of what is currently going on because when we recorded this, that wasn't going on.
That was 24 hours in the future. Now, I will say, we don't say any... There's nothing here that we say that we regret, but at this point in time, the fact that we don't bring it up may be a bit of a sore thumb.
Also, I think at some points, maybe our tone will seem a bit flippant. Please take that in the intended tone, which is just that, as far as we're concerned, like, racial inequality is not like a debate and a political issue. Of course it's bad that there's white supremacy and racism, so we're not going to take these people seriously. So yeah, of course the position of this show is that Black Lives Matter. Please do anything you can to protest, pull down statues, donate. Me and Matt live in rural Japan. There's very little we can do other than tell you about sci-fi films.
You're hearing two white dudes talking about Space is a Place on May 24th. Reasonably progressively minded, but missing the cues that you're simply supposed to have now.
Had we known... had we been like a week later, we just straight up wouldn't have done this film at this point in time, I think.
But hey, it is a great film. You should watch it, so cue the music. You say engage. You mean engage. Engage it. Engage the music.
I'm trying to cut down on the engagement.
Engage.
Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, travelling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, space is
You're on.
Oh, it didn't make the tick, tick, tick.
It's going.
I know. In the year 1974, racism existed. But it's all gone now, I'm sure.
Yeah, the whole world's gone. Sorry, did I just spoil the end of this movie?
Yeah.
Well, it does start with the song, "It's After the End of the World. Don't you know that yet?" What movie is that?
It's Space is the Place.
Yes, and I feel like we have to call it Sun Ra's Space is the Place.
I keep wanting to call the film Sun Ra.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know why.
You can do that if you want. I'm fine with that. Who are you?
I'm Luke,
I'm Matt.
and this is our sci-fi...
Sanctuary! So we flipped it. That was fun. Okay. You're completely new to this film, I believe.
Yeah, I had never heard of this until Matt said we should watch it for the podcast, and kind of missold it to me.
Well, how did I sell it to you?
You sold it to me as just like a weird, surreal nonsense trip, right?
It has that to it.
But to the point that I wasn't expecting there to really be a film.
No, somewhere I was a philosopher, man. Oh, you mean like there's actually a story and
There's
things
a
like
story
that?
and a plot, and it makes sense, and it has something to say.
Yeah.
I was just expecting like musical intellect. Basically, I thought it was going to be the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh, no. This is, this does have some
That's
actual
pretty
substance.
legit, yeah.
Yeah. This is what the Star Wars holiday special should have been.
It's what it wishes it was.
With this music. For me, I got into Sun Ra, I guess, in the late 90s. I got into university. I started working at the radio station, and the record store just had a big Sun Ra section, and the covers, like, appealed to me. That's the kind of things that I like to see. And I was getting into jazz. I had, like, the standards, you know, Miles Davis's Kind of Blue or Dave Brubeck's Take 5. They're fine. I never really listened to them too much, but Sun Ra actually got me, like, listening to jazz. So I have a pretty extensive Sun Ra collection. He worked for, I guess, 50 years. He was productive and recorded an album every other day. So if you do want to enter the strange world of Sun Ra, there's a whole lot to get into. this movie was one of those weird things you'd really have to dredge up on VHS in the 90s. So, you know, people that knew about this sort of thing would go on the search for it. It was pretty hard to find. And I don't think I saw it till I got a mid-2000s DVD release. So, yeah.
But you'd heard of it and wanted to see it and couldn't get hold of it.
Yeah, I was a Sun Ra fan.
Okay. Well, yeah, but I mean, just you found his albums, but did you know like this existed and stuff?
Yeah, one of his best-known albums is Space is a Place.
Okay.
Like, which is not the music from this movie, because right behind that in the record rack was the official soundtrack to Space is a Place with completely different music.
Okay.
But then that had artwork that had been drawn for the cover, whereas the Space in the Place album that doesn't have to do with the movie had a shot from the movie. So that's what Sun Ra's discography and career's like. Like, it never makes sense at all. This movie doesn't make sense, but it's fascinating to sort of thumb around in.
Oh yeah, you hit me up with some of his tracks before we recorded, and you said like it's like every album is a different artist entirely. So I listened just to the first album. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good jazz. And you're like, no, go and click on something else. It sounds like Nuclear War. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
And then the music in this film doesn't sound like his 50s jazz. It doesn't sound like Nuclear War. It sounds completely different yet again.
Yeah.
So, like we said, this is not just, it is a sequence of events, but it's a sequence of events that ties together reasonably well with a few notable outliers. But
well,
those are fun too.
I sat down and just wrote my plot from memory, and I checked Wikipedia. I was like, yeah, I pretty much got it all. So
there we go. Okay, let's rip on into that, yeah?
Yeah. We open on a fuck.
We open on a fuck. That's the middle of the movie, dude.
We open on an alien world in space, where Sun Ra speculates that the black race can only be free from oppression by starting again on a new planet, away from white folks and their history. We cut to a girls, girls, girls bar in the 1940s. A black hole opens or something, causing chaos and pulling pasties from boobies. The hall empties, leaving only Sun Ra and the Overseer, who sit down to play cards. They play with some kind of like tarot cards, I guess. In the 1970s, a crowd gathers to await the return of Sun Ra. His spaceship lands and he emerges. He sets about trying to recruit black people to join him on his quest to a new world, all while the Overseer, who is also maybe a pimp or a gangster or something, tries to undermine him. Sun Ra's plan culminates in a concert to transport minds through music. Before he can perform, he is kidnapped by some sleazeballs from NASA who try to press him for details about his space technology. Luckily, some of his followers see the kidnapping and engage in a rescue. Ra plays his concert, defeats the Overseer, and subsequently many people join him aboard his craft and leave the Earth. Earth then explodes.
I hit the record a touch too soon. Always 2 minutes late at Sun Ra.
Yeah.
I like how it's like a recurring joke.
Yeah, he knows how to make an entrance.
Yeah. So
Sun
we talked about Sun Ra the musician in our opening segment. Shall we talk about Sun Ra the actor for a bit?
Strong word, actor.
What is so charming about this movie is he doesn't even try to act at all.
Nah.
Also, I believe he wrote all his lines himself.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, so...
Well, the film is basically just based on, not TED Talks, it predates TED Talks, but like some seminars that he'd given prior to this film coming out.
Yeah, he wrote books. I mean, he had philosophy, interesting stuff. It's worth... At least the public image that was thrown forward is Sun Ra's Orchestra, which is the name of his band. They were supposed to not imbibe in any substances while with Sun Ra. Huh. And Sun Ra apparently was he was not tripping. Well, I mean, was, but not from the wacky stuff.
Yeah.
He was tripping in the center of his mind, on other planes of the air.
No, this never comes across as that kind of trip.
Right.
This is all...
Well, the imagery certainly does. The way this movie's made certainly does, but he's the actor in the movie, so.
Right. Well, no, but I wouldn't... I mean, you've got more experience than me, but... like, it all felt... Although there was, like, very surreal and weird imagery, it did actually all have something to say. It wasn't just, here's some shit for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
For the most part.
If we remember, snap a picture, but we are recording this, like, overlooking what basically looks like the first scene from the movie, which is kind of cool,
Yeah, like the little babbling brook.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw a frog jump in.
There we go. So, yeah, we're talking, synchronicities there. Sun Ra having his own word with us, I guess, from the beyond, or from Saturn.
Yeah.
That's what he claimed. The man himself was from Birmingham, Alabama, but he claimed he was from Saturn. So when he died in 1994, people were like, he just went back to Saturn.
Okay.
Also, the name of his record label. But okay, I've been familiar with Sun Ra and his philosophy and stuff for a fair amount of years, where enough where I probably can't distill it. So from this movie, what is the philosophy this movie's pushing exactly?
It seems to be that the sort of the racist heart of America will always exist because it is part of their history, and that to escape it, you can only segregate, which is pretty fucking depressing, if that's like an accurate reading of the situation.
Well, this living in urban 70s, like the low income parts of town was probably pretty depressing too. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily me calling him out, but that the philosophy does seem to be that, like, as long as we continue living in this country, which does have, the black population of America were brought over as slaves.
Right.
And that history is always going to be there and be part of it. And seem to be saying that as long as we stay here, they won't be equals.
And I guess, that's like Sun Ra was out to create sort of an identity for black people. That's, I mean, he was doing it very hard, very on the cheap. That man never had much money. But he was, like you said, brought over as slaves. So after a few generations, no one knows who they are anymore, right? So Sun Ra made an attempt to create a new mythology, as he says. Because what do you say? Now African American. Okay, from Africa. Well, Africa is named after the Roman general who conquered, those lands. And
also
before
Africa's
Christ.
a continent with a lot of countries full of many cultures.
Yeah, exactly, that too. The general was black too, but he was coming in the name of Caesar, so that has some problem. Well, actually, I think it was Republic time still, so maybe it was because it's Carthage, right?
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, people often forget, like, the Roman Empire was very multiracial. And they deliberately kept the units mixed up with many races so they wouldn't be fighting for their own homeland, they'd be fighting for the empire.
Exactly. At that time, the Republic, but Carthage. But on the plus side, the name does come from a black man, but it's one that conquered it in the name of the Roman Republic. So it's a little fishy, I guess.
Well, I mean, and Sun Ra is taken from Egypt, right?
Exactly.
Ra, Egyptian god, so that's back to Africa.
Well, Ra is the sun god, right?
Yeah.
Ra is the sun. I mean, he is distilling, like, that's the thing, like, you could laugh at this movie if you didn't think about this movie.
Right.
I mean, it has a high cheeseball entertainment factor. But
and there are bits where it's trying to make you laugh, right? There's some gags and stuff in there.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like dead serious. And Ra he presents himself deadpan, but in an almost entertaining way.
Oh, it's very entertaining. It's just he's just always just constantly spouting his whatever you want to call it, his philosophies, and he's no matter what situation he's in, he's the exact same character. When he's like tied to a chair being bullied, when he's playing songs.
Oh, they make him listen to Dixie. Which is a good gag, by the way. And the guys come in and say, what are they making him listen to? I mean, there are some actual pretty funny jokes in this movie.
Well, both the times that the bad guy makes his henchman wait outside while he has a threesome. No, we don't see the sexy stuff. We just see him outside having a strop about it.
Yeah, those scenes were added in, and some scenes with, I guess, maybe one of the gutter scum guys. I think the guy that loses his shoes. That was added in for the uncut version, mostly to add some boobies so they could play him in like theaters, where people would go to see boobies.
Right.
So come for the boobies, stay for the Afro-Egyptian. Metaphysics.
Oh yeah, because you mentioned it. You could pretty much cut out all of the pimp stuff very easily.
Yeah,
And this would be like a PG movie.
yeah, that was added in later just to actually show it to the more salacious crowd.
I haven't checked this, but I bet like all the mentions of like N-words and F-words are in those scenes.
That may be the case. I'd have to go back to check. But...
I did love when he goes into the hospital and just revives him by giving him a high five.
Yeah. So Sunrise Band, of course, is his touring band. And some of those horn players, man, those guys are legends. I mean, so they get a little bit of acting to do. Basically, like, where's Ra? Is Ra here yet?
Yeah. Well, no, they go and rescue him.
No, those are actors. Those are not members of his
okay.
band. His band are the dudes like decked out.
Okay,
you know, in the
at the concert waiting for him.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't want to get. I guess there's a thin line between design and talking about characters in this movie. So
Right.
I still want to delve through a little bit of what we're actually seeing on film here. Someone else that comes to mind is Gil Scott-Heron. He didn't make a movie, but do you know Gil Scott-Heron?
No, hit me with
You've
it.
heard The Revolution Will Not Be Televised?
Yeah.
That's Gil Scott-Heron.
Okay.
That pile of CDs that were in the car that I put in your seat as like a prick. One of those actually was a Gil Scott-Heron collection, so we'll get
maybe stick
rocking
it on
a
a
bit of
bit,
that
yeah.
in the car, because that is another side of this sort of coin. Now, he was more of the revolutionary, right? He didn't have all the weird metaphysical stuff. He's just, doing some beatnik poetry. He's the godfather of rap, basically, because sometimes he'd sing and sometimes he'd rap.
Well, that's actually, you bring it up because I said earlier that Sun Ra's philosophy was like separating themselves, but it's not, because he says that the way he's going to transport them is through music. So like, he's not actually talking about like, no, we need to just, every single black man move out of the US and start our own country, but culturally we need to move out of this
right
mindset that we're in.
Well, that's
which is why he's creating this black
Craig
culture.
is a new black culture. So, and putting it in like a fun, low budget sci-fi rapping.
Yeah, so
with,
the space stuff is all just this metaphor for creating a new mental planet.
Now, the real character of Sun Ra in this is, of course, never in his deadpan face. It's the music.
Yeah.
I am very. There's a fair, like we said, it's not just a bunch of musical segments. There are a few notable musical segments, impressions.
Because they're basically like montages, right?
Yeah. It's like, well, it's just
one of them has legit been stuck in my head since I watched the film.
Which one's
It's like, Earth is boring, the same old, same thing.
Yeah, the Outer Space Employment Agency.
Yeah.
I think Space in the Place like isn't even in this. Oh, I have to tell you a story about Space in the Place.
You mentioned in your notes.
I did. I just remembered. So now's the time.
Is that a segment break in time?
Nah, we're fine.
Oh, okay.
About 15 years ago. Wow, how time flies. More than that. I worked at the whale camp in Canada. It's this little island called Grand Manan Island. And we take kids on boats and look for whales. We teach them on that stuff. But the one side of the island's pretty flat, like rocky beaches. I don't think we had so many in the like real beaches. And then the whole one would like move up like a wedge to a cliff.
Oh, okay, like a cliff.
So our main camp, we get the new kids and we'd actually blindfold them and have them sit in a van. Mm-hmm. And then this is what we were told to do, right? We'd go and, okay, be very careful, trust us. We'd sit them on the fucking edge of the ledge and then take the blindfold off.
Jesus.
So just to, oh my God, look at that vision, right? And no one ever got hurt, fortunately. But anyway, the part that they didn't ask me to do is in that van on the way there, about a 20-minute drive, I'd play like the 20-minute version of Space is the Place at like top volume. Space is the place, yeah, space is the place.
So this is when you were working for MK Ultra.
Yeah, well, now that I think about it, I was basically pulling MK. But you know what? I was doing MK Ultra in the name of Sun Ra.
Yeah, you're a reverse MK Ultra in these
Exactly. So I've actually, holy crap, I have like pushed this, not the Afrocentric part so much, but the metaphysical side, I've probably pushed on quite a few. That's the Hermetic thing, I guess. Put people in stress, make them think they're dead, and then show them the reality that truly is.
You were like a short ferry ride away from working on Epstein's Island.
Yeah, we took them to see whales.
I told you my whale story, right? My friend's older sister.
Let's do it.
She went out on like a little dinghy whale watching and a whale jumped on her.
I don't know if you mentioned
You can find it on YouTube.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she was on like the news. Yeah, because the fucking whale just... on a fucking boat.
Okay.
And I think she was. I mean, I think she was hurt a bit, but she was fine. Like she was able to do interviews after and stuff.
Yeah, that's.
But like, I hadn't seen this friend for a little while. He'd gone to uni. I was working at a supermarket, and his mum comes in. She's like, "Oh, hi, Nick, how you doing?" I was like, "Yeah, that's good. That's family." She's like, "Have you heard about Charlotte?" I'm like, "No." "Oh, a whale jumped on her." Like, excuse me.
Yeah, that same summer, first dolphins are assholes. We were on like a little schooner, right?
Yeah.
And the dolphin just jumped in my face and terrified me, right?
Famously assholes. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, not the same. That same trip, a whale breached by the boat, which is awesome, and then it sneezed,
Yeah.
and then I was sick the next day. I think did I get a cold?
You transmuted the whale flu to humans.
Yeah, did I get the cold for
Patient
a whale?
zero.
I don't know. Patient zero, the whale flu, man. I imagine we might get into more of the weird. No, I don't even want to say weird philosophy. I want to see awesome philosophy of this movie. It's just intrinsic of the movie. But let us speak a little bit more about the actual design of the movie.
That's a cool spaceship.
It is. His Moog room. Holy God, I want that.
Yeah.
I have a Moog.
Huh?
Yeah, that thing he's playing. That's what I got, man. He has like 5 other awesome synths too, and organs and stuff. But
The opening shot of the movie, where it's just the spaceship flying towards Earth, and you can just see it from like this weird angle behind, just like a golden turd.
it does.
When you properly get to see it, it's sick. Like eyes on the back of some fangs or something.
I guess it's like the TARDIS. It must be bigger on the inside
Oh yeah, if he takes.
because they got room for an entire big band.
Yep.
A wild, free jazz big band, by the way. Sun Ra had big band in the 50s. At this time, it's just like wild congos, wailing horns, and let's call out June Taylor, who's the singer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, she's fun, especially when she's doing the Galaxy Quest thing and just repeating
Repeating
everything.
what he said. Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. It's just during that scene, it just made me think of some Afro-fusion jazz with Sigourney Weaver and Galaxy Quest.
I love that he just goes around the whole film in like a pharaoh outfit. With a big helmet and shit.
Yeah,
Did he just wear that all the time during his career as Sun Ra?
Pretty much.
Nice.
No, you go back in the 50s. The first one you played, you're like, it's in like just like jazz, right?
Right.
They had not quite gotten to the bling level that the 70s allowed, but they were still looking pretty weird. He was still coming out with sun symbols and strange headdresses and stuff.
The start of the movie when he's playing the piano in the jazz bar, so Sun Ra was actively making music between like the 40s and the 80s.
Yeah, he started out. That was his job.
Yeah, I think he mentioned
played
on Wikipedia that he did start out playing piano under the name Sunny Ray or something.
And
right?
one of the reasons I love that scene so much is when it starts out, he's just playing boogie woogie jazz, right?
Yeah.
I stopped for a second, but he subtly and slowly goes to complete insanity. So by the end, it's and just
I enjoyed so he's there just as like the piano man, and then the overseer comes in as like the big money player. He's like, what do you think of the piano player? Shit, get him out of here.
Well, the tarot and the Egyptian stuff, and the way I look at this movie is when we did The Matrix, we taught the Gnosticism, the Hermetic stuff, Egyptian religion. We can go straight in where Set is sort of the force of evil, and Ra is the sun, right? That's where there was one Akhenaten. I might be saying the name wrong. It was Tutankhamun's father.
Right.
He completely changed Egyptian religion just while he was the pharaoh. I think it might have stuck around for Tutankhamun, but as we know, Tutankhamun died very young. I think that was the hardcore Ra religion. It's like,
Okay.
The rest of all this Egyptian, let's just focus on this one thing. So, I don't know. I mean, I think Sun Ra himself was probably pretty well versed in stuff. So I imagine the overseer and Sun Ra is sort of one of these Egyptian religion or just mythology myth takes on such a more powerful word with Sun Ra.
Yeah.
Sun Ra wants myth to be a real thing.
Well, yeah, he is a myth.
Yeah, exactly. He is a myth.
I'm the myth talking to you.
Yeah, that's why it's like perfectly fine to be like, yeah, he just went back to Saturn, people.
Yep.
That's the end of his story. It's not, Sonny Blount died in 1994. It's Sun Ra went back to Saturn.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, the point of his whole philosophy is that it's all in the mind.
Yeah.
He wanted to change. Yeah, so who cares if there is a body there that is this guy? No, like you say, Sun Ra went back to Saturn.
When I was watching a movie that his alien landscape, I was like, man, I think I've actually been there in a dream before. That's why in a very profound dream I had in the past, and that's why looking down like that looks like it too, man. That's just, I guess it's just nature, but
Well, yeah, that is like what we're looking at right now. That is just like the image of like the paradise little utopia, right? Just like a little babbling brook.
a little more
stream.
summer leaves would be nice. But we are almost 2 kilometers in altitude at the moment. So
Yeah. It's not quite as green as you'd like.
it will
but-
be in 2 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll put a
Yeah,
photo out on
picturesque,
Facebook if anyone wants to see that. I'll keep bringing up his Moog room. God, that was so cool. I want to make all my music there. I get to make music in a tatami room, right? I can't complain. So once I record, I had a Moog very similar to Sun Ra's in front of me, like an 80 synthesizer, and I was in the tatami room, so I can't complain. I have it almost as good as Sun Ra got it here, so but it was cool. Let's see, the band, the horns, all that stuff. Oh, this isn't quite designed, but I gotta bring it up before I forget. The community center.
But
They just went to community center and started filming.
that's pretty cool then, because they start to come around to what
I
Sun
know.
Ra's saying.
There's the 2 extra actors, I believe, that were kind of
Right.
facilitating. But yeah, Sun Ra just walked into a community center looking like that and saying stuff.
Yep.
And their reactions are quite authentic. You
Yeah.
know.
They start off like, okay, who are you? What are you talking about? And they're like, hey, yeah, he's making some interesting points.
Oh, my brother the wind's coming through again. My brother the wind. Sorry, that's a Sun Ra song and album.
Okay.
There's actually My Brother Wind volumes 1 and 2.
Well, there's a lot of wind.
Yeah, just so I call in while it was gusting through. So yeah, that's one of the best scenes in the movie though, because it's like so authentically weird.
Yes.
The Outer Space Employment Agency is fantastic with that little office he has for it.
Yeah, it's great. And there's like the one like ex-NASA guy who comes in. He's like, but I got a family. I got 7 kids to feed. He's like, oh, we're not going to be paying you.
No, he wouldn't open up his mind, man. It was the guy that did nothing that was going to get paid nothing for doing nothing.
Yep.
The script of this is the more of it, you're like, wow, actually these are pretty well written lines.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I sat down and watched this film all in one go and enjoyed the ride. This is actually a good film.
It's like
It's not what I was expecting from the way you told it to me.
It's like getting one of the best rides of your life in a Yugo, Doesn't matter if it's Yugo, you're having a good time.
Yeah.
But no, they go on stage with that stuff all the time. They go tour in Egypt and stuff, because why not?
Yeah.
I think it's around the time Pink Floyd went to a concert in front of the pyramids. That's hip.
Nice.
Oh, and they did the ultimate social distancing concert. This is one I can, yeah. If we do one, just the weird thing that you are going to be like, this is just music. Flink Floyd's. Pink Floyd's concert at Pompeii.
I like somehow you added an L to both words.
Pink Floyd. Anyway, yeah, the live in Pompeii, which of course is a dead city, right? So they're playing in the Coliseum, just like standing like probably 5 meters from each other, just with no audience, just the sound crew. It's a pretty, and they put in like kind of surrealist clips, and we got to do that sometime. That one does not have a plot at all.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Flink Floyd. I'm here to just to check that you're up to health and
Flink your
safety.
Floyd. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, the world explodes at the end. Did they just smash an apple?
It had like looked kind of like the Earth, and it had like a red core and stuff. It was actually a pretty decent.
No, I love the shot. And then it looks
my
like.
thought was watermelon
Oh, okay, yeah,
because you got like the crust and then like the red innards.
yeah, no.
And you just got that one chunk of it just spinning at the end. It was brutal.
Well, that's just my case where So I rag on dodgy CGI a lot. And people are like, well, yeah, you know, what do you want? Real crap effects? Yes, I want these effects. I love these effects.
Yeah.
You know, this is imagination, right? Mm-hmm. Well, imagination.
Well, the one thing I really miss with modern effect is you never have that, how did they do that thought anymore. Because you know how they did it. Yeah. They sat in an empty green room and then someone drew it on a computer. You know, it was like, we don't know what that was. Was that a watermelon? Was it paper mache? What the fuck was it?
And it's just, you know, we meet the ultimate villain, the ultimate evil. He's a pile of pulsing brown goo. That's most movies now.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, here's a hardcore tangent. So, okay, and honestly, I need you to confirm this for me. The Snyder cut of Justice League is a real thing.
Yeah, it's coming to HBO Max next year. Okay,
I actually had to ask someone to, because there was an honest trailer for it a month ago, and I thought, oh, that's a good April Fool's. That's funny, right? They did, and then today someone posted like HBO Max thing, and you know, this is just gonna be more disappointing. Whatever, I don't what they said, but I'm like, wait a minute, does this mean this wasn't actually a joke?
Right, so because obviously Snyder left pretty late in development, and Joss Whedon finished the film. And then all the DC nerds are like, give us the Snyder cut, give us the Snyder cut. Then it became a joke to say that, right? It's like saying Bush did 9/11 or something. Yeah. Except we did it, except at this case, we didn't think it was true.
Bush wasn't smart enough for that.
No.
Cheney, I don't know, but Bush wasn't smart enough for that. Sorry, go ahead.
He wants you to think. But then, like, some reason HBO were willing to put up the money and actually get Snyder to come back and, like, I guess... I don't know if he's shooting anything extra or just editing it how he'd imagined
Maybe
it,
that, because he didn't finish shooting, right?
I don't think so, right?
Not by any means, but I think.
Maybe he'd finished, like, principal, but all of the reshoots, I think, were...
And then they reshot some of the stuff he shot, too. Anyway, of course...
If all it does is cut out Henry Cavill's weird CG mouth, I'll be happy.
They'll probably...
Just let Superman have a tash.
It'll probably make Batman more killy.
Yeah. No, you don't understand. He does these things which... happen to result in the bad guys dying, but he didn't kill them directly.
Because
so
the
fine.
bullet killed him. It's not the guns that Batman doesn't use, but except he does here. Sorry, we're talking about Sun Ra, are we?
Yeah.
Well, this movie's more real than the DCU or the MCU because it actually has real thoughts to ponder.
Is this film better than Black Panther?
For starting a conversation about identity, probably.
Yeah.
For starting a conversation about if you do feel that, you know, your lot in life's not the best place, this is going to actually give you better thoughts to thunk than Black Panther probably will.
Maybe.
Black Panther's fine, but I'm just, you know, that's popcorn philosophy. This is like actual, like, I mean, totally off-the-wall thinking, but off-the-wall thinking that sticks to its own weird logic and does lead to some interesting insights that Black Panther's not going to give you.
Nope.
You know, Black Panther will never take you to the altered destiny, man.
It is probably worth, like on High Life, bringing up at this point. Me and Matt are not necessarily the people best equipped to actually extrapolate this film or give you the best takes on it. But, you know, I think we're both pretty progressive and have a lot of thoughts about it. But yeah, it is worth pointing out that we're like a 40-year-old and 30-year-old white guy sat in Japan recording this podcast.
And I'm a white dude, right? Can I claim a few? Like, I mean, I've been familiar with Sun Ra and his philosophy for 20 years. My band in university was named Rocket Number 9 after a Sun Ra song. So I had a band for 5 years named
I'm
after
not saying you're not allowed to talk about Sun Ra.
No,
right?
I know. There are people that would. I actually did throw out a few, way too late, but I actually did throw out an invite or two for guests on this one, but where that would have added some...
If I'd known in advance that it was like a film worth taking seriously, I probably would have pushed harder, like, let's try and get a person of color on this podcast. But...
Okay, I did make an attempt, but we had already kind of decided to do it today, and I didn't give enough time, I guess so. Oops. Please do comment in, though, if you'd like to share your 2 cents, whoever you are. Whatever you want to say. But, no.
Tell us we're wrong, tell us we're right. Just... let us know someone out there listens to this.
We're treading on, you know, I don't know, I guess I'm lower middle class. That's what I am. But I'm not, I'm not lower class. I'm, you know, I'm I get the white privilege thing because I'm white, right? So I can't talk about the socioeconomic things here so much, which is why I kind of keep plugging on into his actual philosophy. Cause,
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's obviously the black identity aspect to it, which is not necessarily speaking to me, but it's the ways of thinking in different ways, making your own culture. I mean, that's the way I live, and that's the way he lived. You make your own culture. That's part of what we're doing here, We're making our own culture with our weird little sci-fi sanctuary.
If me and Matt were real douchebags, we'd have started this by giving you the speech of like, so because we're white guys who live in Japan, actually we understand racism now.
Japan. That never even crossed my mind. Good for me. Okay.
Me too, but I have heard people try and bring that up. It's like, fuck you, man.
Well, on the walk here, I did bring up the point that we're getting slightly stranger stares because foreigners currently cannot enter Japan. So when people see foreigners at the moment, they're like, whoa, you're here?
Like, yeah, I've been here for 3 years, buddy.
I never left.
You've been here for like 13, right?
And I mentioned we're in a weird situation now where if we leave, we cannot come back for the time being, even if you get a wife and child like I do in my case. So, not that I have any interest in leaving anyway, but...
No, well, I did actually have plans to visit the UK this year, but it is not happening.
No, I think they're still going to be going like 2-week quarantine for any direction at that point. So, on the plus side, you will not be missing any weeks of Luke and Matt's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. See, it did work better saying it with your name first. That's an ongoing debate.
I think the main reason I wanted to call it Matt and Luke's is because my other one is called Luke Loves Pokemon.
Oh, that makes sense.
And if I just had 2 podcasts which names start with Luke, it would look really obnoxious.
There, now you know the behind the scenes.
I think that was subconscious.
Yeah.
But just in my head, just Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary rolls off the tongue.
Well, this movie speaks to the subconscious and Black Panther does not.
Right.
How's that?
I think that's true. I mean, I do like Black Panther.
Oh, I do too, but this one makes me think more.
Yeah. Yeah, but that one made me feel.
This is a sci-fi sanctuary. Our genre is sci-fi. I can't talk today. This is like the only time I've ever been like hardcore sober for a recording session too.
There you go. Told you everything you need to know about Matt. It's a sci-fi sanctuary, son.
Yeah. Anyway,
I found the grail.
This is a sci-fi, but it's also Blaxploitation, which is a genre of movie I love. Another reason I love this movie. And Blaxploitation movies are typically not so good about women.
Yes.
Pam Grier, Coffee, Foxy Brown, that's cool. She almost makes up for it. If you feel bad about how women are shown in Blaxploitation, including this one, just go watch Coffee, you'll be good. Okay, sorry. But Blaxploitation is, like black money, making black movies, doing it without censorship. I think this is one of the few sci-fi ones. When you're on no budget, doing a sci-fi isn't always the best idea. It is here, though.
Well, because most of there's only like 2 or 3 shots of very sci-fi stuff happening, and then it's all just discussions of the philosophy, right?
It's so tricked out, though. It keeps counting as sci-fi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, some of the best sci-fi, you barely see like any stuff going on, right?
Right.
But you just have the spaceship lands, spaceship takes off. That's about it. A couple scenes around the spaceship, but yeah, for the most part.
Earth blows up, glowing that orb stuff in his garden. See, I told you I've been there in my dream, man. In my dream, it was actually just amorphous floating blobs. Okay. And Sunrise Garden is actually like lawn ornaments, but
yeah, it's like some sort of like squid thing.
And I should note that this dream in me was nowhere near a screening of this movie. So it's just
was it after you'd seen the movie? Then?
It was after I'd seen the movie,
okay.
So that connection could be there. But
so somehow it's in your subconscious.
It was. I think now it might be the first time since that dream I was like, wait, I feel like I've been here, man. So it's kind of cool. Some other Blaxploitations. You're not familiar with this genre, I believe.
I've watched like Shaft.
Shaft is the best known, but it's like not the best by any.
Really. I feel like I've watched 1 or 2 others, but yeah, I'm not overly familiar.
The old Shaft.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've watched the new one as well, but yeah, the old Shaft.
I will support that one probably being the best Blaxploitation theme song, except for Superfly. Yeah. because that's Curtis Mayfield. I have to give Curtis
I feel like
props.
I've only seen sort of post-Blaxploitation sort of...
Like Black Dynamite.
Yeah, that sort of
Okay,
thing.
Black Dynamite, that's the second best known, I'd say. Shaft isn't really that good a movie. I mean, Richard Roundtree's great, but it's not that great a movie. Black Dynamite, I brought that up when we did Galaxy Quest. For me, that is the satire that also simply becomes one of that genre.
Right.
It's good enough that I will call that a Blaxploitation. But if you do watch this one and you want kind of this funky vibe, if you want your Blaxploitation comedy, Dolomite, Rudy Ray Moore, I think Eddie Murphy just did a biopic, which I haven't seen, because I just like Dolomite movies, man.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I've not seen them.
Okay, that's a good one. There's Isaac Hayes and Chuck Turner, because Isaac Hayes did the Shaft theme, so they're like, oh, he should star in one, and he can't act, but Chuck Turner's fantastic. And there's another one on the tip of my brain. Oh, Blaxploitation horror.
Yeah.
Blackula!
That's the one I'm aware of.
Okay, cool. I think there's a Blackenstein too, but yeah, Blackula. Oh, yeah, that's. I have to shout Blackula a few times because of recurring guest Andrew will be angry if I don't go Blackula. Okay. Moving along, but yeah, this movie is sci-fi, but I'd say it's a pretty. It's not a well-known example of Blaxploitation, but I'd say this is one of the better ones I've seen.
So, when I hear Blaxploitation, obviously it's got the word exploitation in it. But this film doesn't feel like who's being exploited?
They're trying to. I think it's like it was. You get like Sidney Poitier in like a lead role in the '60s. And that's it. Nichelle Nichols was on Star Trek. She didn't get to say much, but at least she was there.
Well, yeah, she famously Martin Luther King begged her to stay on the show, right?
Exactly. So the idea is Hollywood is just not really using black people.
Okay.
They're just exploiting them. So Blaxploitation, we're going to exploit ourselves.
Right. Okay.
So it is supposed to be an
empowerment wondered if
thing.
the term had come about because it was white producers saying, "Oh, let's make a film with a black cop because it's sexy," or whatever. But no, that's not the case.
No, they're we're tired of.
Okay, yeah, we're tired of being exploited.
So we're going to do it. If we're going to be
Yeah.
exploited, we're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah, of course, take back the means of production. I said, yeah, of course, take back the means of production.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the movement really only takes up the first half of the 70s, so I guess they got re-exploited somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a guy in a suit with a wad of cash in his hand. I mean, let's face it, for anyone, it's kind of hard to say no. Especially if it seems like an artistic pursuit. Like, we want you to make this movie, and then, whatever you were trying to do in the first place just gets ground down until you're making Black Panther.
The interesting point I've heard people bring up a lot recently is that sort of the left, the progressive, has won the culture war, but it hasn't changed the world. So gay marriage, black people, interracial marriage, all of that stuff, fine, it's accepted. But old white right-wing guys are still actually running the world.
And then they're getting worse at it. Something to think about, back in the day of your Cheney and Rumsfeld, especially Kissinger, man, those guys are evil. They knew what they were doing. The power establishment now has trouble pulling the wool over your eyes.
It used to be that these evil guys could only get elected if they, kept it under wraps. But now you can say the quiet part loud and still get elected. So there's nothing stopping an imbecile being president.
I'm pretty sure America was, quote, supposed to go to war with Iran last year.
Oh, yeah.
But no one bought that shit.
Right.
Because people are, they're a little smarter to it, I hope. We'll see. But
Well, and
it's after the end of the world, man. Don't you know that yet?
whereas in the UK, the trick is that you play the bumbling idiot so that no one can take it seriously when you do something horrendous.
Yeah.
That's Bojo's whole shtick.
By the way, the 7 Sun Ra albums I sent your way is probably 10% of the Sun Ra.
Yeah, I got that impression from what you were saying.
It is some of his better albums, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to get into music, if you want to hear insanity jazz, Atlantis. If you want to hear big band, Interstellar Loways. If you want to hear crazy rapping, not real rapping, but Nuclear War is a good one. And,
I enjoyed Nuclear War.
And Space is the Place. The album, not the soundtrack, is probably one of my favorites. So just to throw out, if you do want to hear this man's music, I support it, and there are a few album titles you might look for. The orchestra is still running, by the way. It was a few years ago. After he went back to Saturn in 1994, some of those guys that already look kind of old in the 70s did keep it going for at least 10 or 20 years after. And there might be some youngins keeping it going now. I don't know. So
I hope so.
Yeah, I know that the orchestra is still running around at least 5 years ago, and well, no one's playing during the pandemic time, but I do hope in other times they are still running.
Well, maybe if you can't physically go to a concert, you could transportate yourself there with music.
Yeah, I love that music just literally transports them into like some surreal plastic thing at the end that goes through the Moog room. Use that set, man.
Do isotope teleportation or molecular teleportation, or maybe I'll just transport you there with music.
Yeah.
I love it.
In the year 2040, this is on TV and then Black Panther is on TV. Which one held up better?
Neither of them holds up because racism's finished now, man.
Oh, right.
Barack Obama was president and now racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm sorry, while I was still doing gruff voice, I meant to say humanity somehow did not eat itself in that year. But I see why you don't want to go on too long rants in that voice now.
Yeah, it's fucking difficult, right?
But
Christian Bale, man, I got a lot of props for that guy.
In 20 years,
He even does it when Catwoman's not there and no one's listening.
What do you in 2040? I mean, yeah, just looking down the line, which one does hold up?
I
better?
do. Right. So what you were saying, I think, is true. The thing with Black Panther, their solution, so to speak, is there's this African nation full of super science that can help, right? Whereas the whole point of this film is that the solution actually is just a mental change. It's spiritual. It's changing the culture, right? It's similar to. This is pretty crass, but when we talked about Star Wars, Episode 8 and Episode 9, Episode 9 ended with, and the problem is solved. Episode 8 ended with, go out and solve the problem, right? And I feel like at the end of Black Panther, like, you know, Killmonger did actually have point, right? Which is what he was saying.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, no, he's been defeated and now we're going to solve it the polite, sensible way. So don't worry. Whereas this film ends with like, yeah, the solution is changing your mind. It's changing it's music and transporting yourself that way. So change how you're thinking.
And we've said there are good jokes in this movie. The world blowing up at the end's the best joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to be taken particularly seriously. The seriousness was before that, where people began to reclaim their power.
Yeah.
So blow up the earth, why not?
Yeah, fuck it.
So, you know, it's almost like cliche that would be like the dumbest possible ending you could have in that movie.
How long was there between Beneath the Planet of the Apes and this film?
About 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I feel like this was in their minds when they.
I hope so. That was kind of a joke too, I think. I mean, I think the filmmakers actually consider that. No, because Charlton
that ends with like a little like voiceover that's trying to make it sound super serious.
No, we'll talk about that film in great detail at some point, but I do remember hearing that Charlton Heston's in it a little bit, right? Mm. He would not come back. He was like, he basically said, I'll come back if you end the world. So like, we're ending the world, dude, come on back. I think he even does he do the voiceover?
He might do that bit at the end.
Yeah. It's like, sit down, you made this happen, now you do the voiceover. Anyway, I'm glad.
Like somewhere in the galaxy, a tiny little light goes out.
Yeah. They should have brought him back to do this too, especially him being Charlton Heston.
God damn. He could have played those NASA fuckers.
Yeah. Like twin Charlton Hestons. This movie does work now unintentionally because, man, he feels like Agent Smith.
Yeah. They were like, you mentioned in your notes that Blaxploitation films are good at this, but I really fucking hated those bad guys.
Oh, Blaxploitation. Think about it.
Like these two fucking dweebuses who come into a brothel, can't get it up, and then beat up the woman. Then they like try and kidnap this black scientist so that they can steal his tech. Well, I feel like they should have gotten more comeuppance.
Yeah, really. They were on an exploding world.
That's true. Actually. I forgot. They did. They got exploded.
No, I still agree with you.
I wanted to see them personally get pummeled, but, he's not that kind of hero, Sunra, right?
Dolomite also has some fantastic, and that's why Black Dynamite has such good
Even
whitey bastards.
You say it's not the best film, but, the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft. It's Christian Bale, actually, is the bad guy in that one. He's a real piece of shit, and then you want to see Shaft.
Well, that works. No, I was actually saying the original Shaft isn't actually that great.
Oh, okay.
I haven't even seen Samuel Jackson Shaft.
They did one a couple years back.
They made...
Where it's 3 generations of Shaft.
Yeah, and that was a sequel, because I think they did Shaft
The
Goes to
Samuel L.
Africa.
Jackson one, he is actually, the nephew of the original Shaft. The original Shaft is in it.
Okay, sorry, I've only seen the original Shaft, because I think it's an overrated...
Yeah, but I just like Samuel J. and everything.
Superfly is also overrated. The movie, the soundtrack is the bomb, but the movie itself isn't that great. So, I already went through my list of Blaxploitation that I would recommend on my own anyway. So this film, it lives outside of time. It lives on other planes of the air. So I've said that 4 times during this podcast because that's one of my other favorite Sunra albums.
Okay. But I do think this film holds up very well. Not only is it got interesting philosophies, it is just watchable and entertaining.
Yeah.
And Didn't Know States Welcome is like an hour and 20 minutes.
So if you haven't seen your listeners, have a look. It's worth it.
It's all available on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, you can watch a real nice cut of it on YouTube. So you'll have no excuse not to watch it. But if people do want to get in touch with us, especially if you are Sun Ra from Saturn or a member of his band, you can get us at...
We're on Twitter at MLSFS We're also on Facebook. Just search for Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. And, leave an iTunes review. Give us 5 stars, all of that shit.
Luke loves PKMN.
Yes. Twitter at Luke loves PKMN. Go to that podcast, find my episode on Jinx. Because I knew in advance that one was going to be racially touchy, and actually did get a person of colour on who also, she is, I believe, doing a PhD or maybe just a master's in Afro-Futurism.
Yeah, or get back to us next week, too.
Yeah.
That is going to be Detective Pikachu, so we will have a special guest, which is Luke.
And I'm assuming that your music this week is going to sort of lean into some Sun-Ra vibes.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, if you want to hear more of Matt's music, as well as Mr. Sun-Ra's, then you can go to rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com.
I have heart flares, man. I can't, if I put music, it's like I'm comparing myself to Ra's music, man. But yeah, I'll put something groovy there.
I'm pretty sure Matt's from Saturn too.
I'm just thinking if that's where I want to be from or not. Orc. How about Orc?
Where's Orc?
Mork from Orc.
Okay.
Mork and Mindy. Robin Williams.
I just assumed you would name a real planet.
Orc's a real planet in my mind, man, just like Sunrise Planet.
Okay.
Sun-Ra doesn't mean Saturn, that thing up in the sky. Sun-Ra means his Saturn.
Okay.
I mean, it's got trees and stuff on it, you know?
Well, yeah, Saturn's a freaking gas giant. So.
Anyway, you can, I don't know, we're working out new end phrases.
I think you should listen to some music right now and transportate yourself out of our sci-fi sanctuary.
Next week, Transformers.